In a week where Arsenal put 7 past PSV Eindhoven, their visit to Old Trafford on Sunday was a stark contrast. The Gunners, looking to keep their fading Premier League title hopes alive, managed only a 1-1 draw against a struggling Manchester United side, a result that all but confirmed Liverpool's status as champions-elect. Arsenal now sit 15 points adrift of the league leaders, with only one game in hand. Their fight for the title is effectively over, a reality that even their most ardent supporters have begun to accept. Declan Rice's stunning equalizer late in the game provided a moment of defiance, but his celebration taunting the United fans, rather than rushing back for a win, reflected a team that knows the race is lost. For Liverpool, the finishing line is in sight. With only 16 points needed from their last 9 games, their coronation as league champions is now a mere formality. Arsenal's failure to claim 3 points at Old Trafford only served to strengthen Liverpool's position. On paper, this was a game Arsenal should have won comfortably. Manchester United, under the stewardship of Ruben Amorim, have endured a disjointed and frustrating season. Fans marched in protest against the Glazer ownership before kickoff, and on the pitch, their team's limitations were evident once again. Yet, despite United's struggles, Arsenal couldn't capitalize. The first half was a sluggish affair, with both teams lacking creativity. One of the few moments of quality came just before the interval when United captain Bruno Fernandes curled in a sublime free-kick past David Raya to give his side the lead. United nearly doubled their advantage early in the second half, with Joshua Zirkzee and Noussair Mazraoui both forcing stunning saves from Raya. Arsenal's response finally arrived in the 75th minute when Jurrien Timber teed up Rice, who swept a brilliant strike past Andre Onana to level the score. The closing stages saw chances at both ends. Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard squandered golden opportunities for Arsenal, while Raya produced a remarkable double save to deny Fernandes and Toby Collier at the death. In the end, neither side could find a decisive breakthrough. For Arsenal, this was another frustrating night. While their young talent Smiles Lewis Skelly, Ethan Nwaneri, and the ever-impressive Rice showed promise, the team's lack of cutting edge in front of goal remains a glaring weakness. The need for a proven striker has never been more apparent. The return of Bukayo Saka next month will provide a boost, but Arsenal's best hope now is securing second place. Their performance at Old Trafford suggests that they are still a team in transition rather than one ready to dethrone Liverpool. For Manchester United, this was one of their better results of the season. Fernandes remains their one true star, but beyond him, the team is a patchwork of inconsistency. Their defensive frailties were evident once more, but a point against Arsenal offered a glimmer of resilience in an otherwise disappointing campaign. As the final whistle blew, neither team could claim outright satisfaction. Arsenal's title hopes are all but extinguished, and United remain a shadow of their former selves. The season's final chapters will be about what comes next. For Arsenal, fine-tuning their squad for a genuine title push next year. For United, another summer of rebuilding in pursuit of a return to the top. Please, like, share and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Anyone can see a penalty saved, of course, but in Palmer's case, this was the first time in his career that it had happened to him. He had dispatched all 15 of those taken for club and country previously, with his psyche seemingly impervious to pressure, but not this time. Here, Mads Hermansen denied him by diving to his left, as the 22-year-old Englishman whom we have all hailed as cold suddenly appeared, well, somewhat closer to room temperature. Maybe that was down to the fever and diarrhea he had suffered over the last 48 hours, which Enzo Maresca told us had forced him to miss training sessions. Even so, Palmer has not scored since January 14th, assisted since December 1st, and was substituted here after 73 minutes for an academy teenager in Tyreek George as he headed straight down the tunnel to presumably visit the little boy's room before re-emerging. In the last 2 days, he was completely out, Maresca said in Palmer's defense. But this morning, he woke up and told me, "I want to be on the pitch because I want to help this team." This shows how this player wants to bring this club where this club belongs. The plus side for Chelsea is they have shown they can win without Palmer, even if their consecutive victories have come against relegation fodder in Leicester and Southampton. It was Cucurella who sent a diagonal drive beyond Hermansen to lift them up to 4th in the table, and next up are Premier League clashes with Arsenal and Tottenham either side of a Conference League last 16 second leg with Copenhagen. Coming into this, we could have found more bounce in a slab of concrete than that shown by Leicester since Ruud van Nistelrooy took over from Steve Cooper on December 1st. They were on their longest run without scoring since 2017, had lost 11 of their last 12 league games, and Van Nistelrooy even had 3 fewer points to his name than Cooper, despite managing more games than his predecessor. To sum it all up in a word, yikes. Van Nistelrooy sounded like a broken man at his post-match press conference, as if he knows he may not make it to the end of the season in charge. There were a few cheers as the halftime whistle was blown, and it was after 60 minutes that the deadlock was broken as Cucurella picked up possession 25 yards from goal and drove the ball into the corner beyond Hermansen. While Chelsea's players were celebrating Cucurella's opener, Maresca was calling on the supporters to play their part. "Hey, come on," he shouted at those near the press box. Chelsea went in search of another goal, and there was one moment after 70 minutes when Palmer could have lobbed Hermansen from 50 yards. When confident and in form, you suspect he would have gone for the audacious in front of the watching England manager Thomas Tuchel. Instead, he carried the ball forward and Leicester's defenders produced their umpteenth block of the day. In the 73rd minute, Palmer was replaced by George, who injected some youthful exuberance down the right. In the 80th, Chelsea wanted another penalty after a handball by Conor Coady stopped Sancho from potentially scoring his first goal since December. Nothing was awarded, but Maresca's men held on to win regardless. Palmer will be back. He is too good to stay in a funk, but this was another game to add to his barren spell. Real Madrid's passed Rayo Vallecano with a 2-1 win at the Bernabeu, drawing level at the top of La Liga in a fiercely contested title race. Kylian Mbappé opened the scoring in the 30th minute, finishing off a swift counterattack, before Vinicius Jr. doubled the lead with a brilliant solo effort just 4 minutes later. The Brazilian nearly added another, striking the post from distance. Rayo clawed one back in first half stoppage time through Pedro Diaz's stunning effort, confirmed by VAR after bouncing off the crossbar and over the line. Despite Rayo's resilience in the second half, Madrid managed their lead comfortably, even with several key players rested ahead of their Champions League clash with Atletico Madrid. With Barcelona leading the table on goal difference and Atletico just a point behind, the La Liga title race remains wide open. Atalanta humiliate Juventus in third-place showdown. There was a point, sometime in the opening 15 minutes, where Juventus' head-to-head showdown with Atalanta felt like it was a relatively even game, but that feeling evaporated rather quickly. A penalty just before the half-hour mark put the visitors in front, and Juventus completely collapsed in the second half, conceding less than 60 seconds into the second half and making elementary mistakes that made Atalanta's job incredibly easy. By the 77th minute, a comical mishap left the Bianconeri down for 2-0. Even in garbage time, when Juventus finally managed to threaten the goal, they were thwarted by a pair of great saves and a timely block. It was, simply, one of the worst performances Juve had put forward in a long time. A win would have meant jumping Lodi for third place, and keeping in touching distance of an unlikely participation in the title chase. And with all that on the line, they got absolutely thrashed on home turf, in a way that they hadn't since 1967. Now Juve have to pick up the pieces as the race for the top once again becomes the top priority. Thiago Motta was still dealing with depth issues coming into the match. Francisco Conceição, Douglas Luiz, Nicolo Savona, Jonas Rui, and Arik Milik, while Renato Vega and Pierre Kalulu were only fit for the bench. The 4-3-1 was anchored by Michel Di Gregorio, with Timothy Weah, Federico Gatti, Lloyd Kelly, and Andrea Cambiaso stretched across the field in front of him. Hafren Thuram and Manuel Locatelli made up the double pivot, while Kenan Yildiz, Weston McKennie, and Nico Gonzalez supported Randall Kolo Muani in attack. Gian Piero Gasparini had some selection issues of his own to deal with. Stefan Posch, Giorgio Scalvini, Odile Lonkasunu, and Gianluca Scamacca were unavailable. Gasparini rolled out his trademark 3-for-3. Marco Carnesecchi played between the sticks, screened by Berat Jumciti, Senad Kolasinac, and Isakin. Raul Bellanova and David Zappacosta were deployed as wing-backs, bracketing Martin de Roon and Ederson in midfield. Juan Cuadrado returned to the Allianz for a second time, joining Matteo Retegui and Ademola Lookman in attack. The two teams traded punches early. Lookman got behind the defense quickly but was spotted up perfectly by Thuram, who blocked the ball behind. The Frenchman nearly opened the scoring in astonishing fashion from outside the box, but pushed it just over the bar. But Juve were showing a distinct lack of bite, and Atalanta started to gain control of the match. For long stretches, things were so uninspiring that the only sound that seemed to come out of the crowd were the deafening jeers that rained down on Cuadrado every time he touched the ball. Even up 3-0, Atalanta kept ruthlessly attacking the Juventus goal, and it was painfully evident that Juve's defenders were seeing ghosts. as the visitor came to them again and again and again. Things reached their nadir when Dusan Vlahovic, having just come on minutes earlier, slipped on the wet pitch as he tried to deliver a simple pass and instead accidentally executed a perfect through ball the other way to Lookman, who charged downfield and drove home the final knife thanks to another deflection from Kelly. Only then did Juventus finally perk up enough to bother Karnaseki, but even then Murphy's Law was in full effect. After Vlahovic forced Karnaseki's first save in the 86th minute, the rebound fell to McKennie, who had an open goal in front of him but was stuffed by a block from newly introduced sub Rafael Toloi. 2 minutes later McKennie sent a beautiful header arrowing toward the bottom corner, only to be denied by a sprawling save. Atalanta never let up, forcing Di Gregorio into one final save with the final kicks of the match before Sousa blew his whistle and put an end to the pummeling. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel, thank you.